Another course, another certificate, another degree is not going to get you a new job. I have a friend who's a Duke undergrad and a UPenn MBA, and he's been looking for a job for about a year and still can't find anything. And if you spend the next 6 months of this year, you might be learning the wrong skills. He's thinking about going back to school for a third degree, data science. This time, I asked him, is he using AI right now? And he's not. He's ready to shell out another $80,000, but he hasn't spent $20 on skills that job postings are asking for. If you want to prove you can do data science, why not build a forecasting model? He had no answer. By the end of this video, you'll have my answer. What to stop buying, what to build instead, and how to turn it into a job. He's not doing the wrong thing. He's doing the old thing right. Study hard, get the degree, get the job. Plan worked for 50 years, not working anymore. Degrees and stamps work to a certain degree. I'm guilty as a stamp holder myself, but over time, stamps stopped being enough. A little bit about myself, I'm Andy, and I've been in data for the last 10 plus years, previously at companies like Netflix, Airbnb, a few other companies, and I've worked in Silicon Valley for half a decade, and the other half I worked in New York City, also at big tech companies. My stamps obviously worked for me. I won't pretend otherwise, and that's probably the reason why you clicked. But I've never held a software engineering title and never studied computer science. With AI, the barriers have been broken and many people can do more than they did previously. There's nothing stopping you from becoming a data scientist, software engineer, a designer. Within the past 1 to 2 years, those have become blurry, and I've been shipping apps in the public, internally. I have more than 500 plus users who use my apps. You can even find some of my app on the Apple Store, and it's as simple as a question away. None of this is because of the credentials I have now, although the skills that I learned on the way did definitely help with that. But the game has changed. This is for anyone whose job in tech was never to write code. A product manager, a data analyst, a recruiter, a marketer, and honestly, a new grad engineer. The same boat. That's the lens I'm trying to come from this. Courses, credentials, tool collecting. There's a new skill each week. You're learning about how to best use Fable a day after Fable came out from someone random on the internet. You'll probably be best just tinkering yourself. But all of these are stamps of approval. A stamp is anything you can finish that can't reject you. Sometimes you pay, you attend, you pass, that's guaranteed. Building something can flop, and if it fails, it feels personal. That's the real reason stamps feel safe. They're ego insurance, not career insurance. If the stamp doesn't work, you did everything right, then the market failed you. Run that through 2026. The test is 3 things. That new Anthropic course that you're supposed to take, company of new skills, best to do, but it's so new that it becomes irrelevant the next 3 to 6 months. Do you remember Ralph loops or prompt engineering? Some of the more recent advice is to reduce your prompts, your context, because the newer models are so good that it doesn't need it. New information contradicts old information. It gets confusing. One way to learn is to help for yourself. The credentials say you sat through the videos, got that new degree, and says you can build a forecasting model. But after that degree, can you actually build that forecasting model? That new dynamic workflows and MCP tools, a new AI app every week. But has your Tuesday changed at all? They're all just stamps. It's like wanting to be a writer and you read your 4th book on writing instead of doing the hard thing and just practice writing. You've been grinding leak code before you even have an interview signed up, saying that you'll apply for it when you've prepared yourself for that new interview, instead of waiting for that new interview to come and start preparing. Those feel comfortable because it has a right answer and a finish line. Preparing feels like progress, precisely because you can't fail in public. The opposite of it all is proof, a portfolio, something real that you made and shipped anyone can look at. 2026 is your year to stop collecting those stamps and start building proof. You're thinking, it's easy for me to say this because my credentials and stamps worked for me, and you're not wrong. You can get those stamps too, but we all start from somewhere before we get those stamps. Those stamps open doors. Mine still do. Prestige is real, status is real. Don't pretend the schools that you went to don't matter or logos never mattered. But here's what's changed. You see videos on YouTube of Wharton grads who say their MBA is useless in this market. 250,000 views. My friend has better stamps than most people. The real question is never these stamps have value. It's what does your next move buy you? These stamps have expiration dates. The meta of 10 years ago and the meta today might not be the same. And so Brands and certificates that you chase today may no longer be relevant by the time you get it. And with AI moving so fast, by the time that you've gotten your AI degree, the AI landscape has changed again. Because it's easier than ever to learn or build, this only amplifies what you've shipped. Shipping is a skill now, and shipping means working with AI and managing it to decide what to build, how to build it. This used to be expensive. Now it costs $20 a month. That's all you need to start. That's a cup of coffee a week. No longer need permission. But that doesn't answer the question that's probably on your mind. Where do I start? And that's not a character flaw. It's what credentials, school trained out of you. When I was talking to a friend about making a career switch to software engineering, they wanted to take a course to learn how to build something, but they didn't know what to build. But now you can start, ask AI, what should I build? If there's not a problem in your life that you are constantly annoyed by, you can also ask AI to give you an idea. It doesn't matter what it is. The first few projects that you build are probably not going to be $1 million idea. It might not get you your next job, but the skills long run might. In school, they always give you a structured program of what to learn sequentially, what data to use, but the real world is not like that. It's very chaotic, unorganized, unstructured. These are the real questions that you gotta face every single day at a company that I work with. How do I learn this? What data do I need? Where do I get this data from? These are all real questions that now can be answered with AI as a first starting point. And any question that you have can be more easily broken down by AI. You don't need a project idea. Your own work is your project. You're surrounded by projects that you do every single day. The weekly report that you have, your to-do list, the next job that you're hunting. All of these are fruits to use AI to help automate, to help streamline, to help do better. You start with something real that you face every single day. Your Tuesday is a project. And you can do this in 3 easy steps. Point AI at your files this week, your workflows next week, and then a real project this quarter. A few videos that already talk about this. You can find it in this playlist here. But you might be starting from 2 places. You might chat with the free version in the browser. You ask, you copy, you paste, and then every session starts with 0. That year of chatting leaves you nothing, show anyone, or maybe you haven't touched AI at all. Lucky for you, this is also new. To get up to speed, shouldn't take that long. But the subscriptions now are highly subsidized, and for personal use to learn and automate your day-to-day work has never been easier or cheaper, and you no longer need permission. It just requires that first step this week. Put aside that coffee, spend that $20 this month. If you really need it, add another plan for another $20. Gain skills that valuable at any company using both Claude and Codex or ChatGPT, making your workflow work at any environment as the scene changes. Since things are moving so fast, in 3 or 6 months, you don't know who's gonna be ahead and what tools you're gonna be using. So starting today and using both, one to start with, and then if you start hitting limits, getting the second one so that you know how it can be valuable for yourself. And all of this starts to compound. And over time, you'll land that new big tech job and get the credentials that you want. And that effect starts to snowball. I have a few videos on managing your projects, organizing your notes. Almost every role, every company, you'll have to do some form of that. And once you start testing this out and seeing the value of it, you'll wonder how you did any of this before without AI. Once you finish that first step and you focus on the next one where you see how you can automate one of your workflows, that weekly report that you must send, the Slack messages that you need to read every week, and then send an email in response. Each one of those things, an AI can help get more context, get more information, give you a better response, send on your behalf. Once you have those 2 out of the way, build your first useful thing that solves a problem. It could be an automated research brief. I had a problem in my life where I didn't want to pay for a voice dictation app anymore. I thought I could build it for myself, and it worked great on my Mac. But then I wanted it on my iPhone, and so I built it. There's nothing stopping you from building it now. You'll learn so much in the process, and it won't be your last project or application. So you'll carry those skills onto the next one. And each of these projects becomes a artifact, a portfolio, something you can put on your resume that people can see, and maybe people can even get value from. Once you put it on the internet, you think it's valuable, someone else thinks it's valuable, you'll realize that you can do so much more. So AI has changed the game of building your credentials, your proof more directly. You don't have to spend another $80K on the degree that you even remember. And while the job market is hard right now, and you take that pause to learn and upskill so that when the market has changed again and they start hiring a lot more, you'll be ready. Because people forget that the hiring process has 2 main parts. to get the interview and then to do well in the interview. And oftentimes you spend too much time preparing for the second half before you even the first half figured out. And being in hundreds of interviews myself in the past, as well as giving hundreds of interviews, focusing on doing the right thing at the right time help you achieve your goals much faster. Now that 2026 is halfway done, don't let the second half of 2026 fly by. The courses, the credentials, the stamp, all preparation disguised as progress. But you can start this week to up-level yourself with AI, pointing them at your files this week, your workflows this month, and then a real project that you can ship, put on the internet this quarter. You don't know where to start. Ask Claude, you can ask GPT, you can look at your own life. Once you realize that it's not just an idea anymore and you can build it, you realize that there's so many other parts after the building and the shipping you haven't thought about, but that you use day to day in a real job. You start today and you point AI at your files, your workflows, your projects, you'll be ahead of the curve and you'll see what's possible with AI. As the technology gets better, you'll be able to do more and you'll have proof, artifact, the portfolio that you can use to land that first interview, the next job. You can finally make that career pivot that you've always been wanting to do, but it does take time. But stopping the collecting and start building proofs today will set you up for the rest of the year.